you may not know this, but when you deposit your money with the bank actually becomes the legal owner of your money. They can spend your money as they wish.
We can put that check in a money market mutual fund.
When you go and take out a mortgage, that mortgage is not somebody else's pension. It's not somebody else's savings. Even though economics still teach that at university, it's an absolute lie. They create brand new money every time you take out a new loan. It's brand new money. Banks have been given by government the license to create money. That's why we're in an economy whereby bankers dictate policy. And when money is debt, we have two rules that govern our economy. The first rule is that in order to have more money and to create this growth engine, this illusion of growth, we have to have more debt. If we want less debt, then we have to have less money. And that's the rules that we're playing right now, which is why the collective intelligence of economists, central bankers, and politicians can't figure out whether they want people to take on more debt or they want a recession, because that's the only choice when we allow banks to create money as debt. So how much money have they actually created? Well, the UK banking sector has created £2 trillion. How much is £1 trillion? None of us can comprehend how much £1 trillion is. We talk about it over pizza nowadays, £1 billion, £1 trillion, bank bailouts. Well, let's actually conceptualize this in something that we can all understand. If I asked you, let's convert those pounds into seconds. If I asked you, how long do you think 1 million seconds is in time? If we go back from today, 1 million seconds, how long ago do you think that would be? Well, it is in fact 12 days, 12 days. So if we know that 1 million seconds is 12 days ago, how long ago is 1 billion? If we went back 1 billion seconds from today, anybody got a guess? 32 years. That's the difference between 1 million and 1 billion. Now let's have a look at 1 trillion. How far away do you think 1 trillion seconds is? 32,000 years before humankind. We can't conceptualize that. We have given a special subsidy to banks by giving them the ability to create money of £2 trillion. By allowing banks to create money, we have created the most unequal economy in the history of time. We get redistribution from developing countries to developed countries. Yes, every single penny in your bank is as a result of somebody else being burdened with debt. Because the money cannot exist unless somebody else takes on that debt. And that has stretched to the third world, to the developing world, and every penny in our bank account. And economists don't think this is worth talking about. Money is the foundation of all economic theory, yet they don't look at how money is actually created. They work off this outdated model. And all of our economists, politicians, and bankers are working off theories that don't exist. This is the biggest con in the history of mankind. Not only is it unequal and unsustainable, but it's completely unstable. The reason that we have boom and bust, the instability is simply this. In boom, we get everyone to take on debt. When everyone takes on debt, they spend it, the economy goes flying. Eventually, they can't afford it. When they go bankrupt, banks stop lending, the economy crashes. And that's simply because the only way to get more money into the economy is to get banks to lend more. We're never going to get out of this boom and bust cycle until we look at the very foundation of money. Because money is debt, eventually people cannot afford to get that debt. If we want to grow our economy, we have to take on more debt. Eventually, when we cannot afford to grow in that debt, we end up in the scenario where the money doesn't exist. So therefore, the economy crashes, the banking system collapses. That's the first result. And a banking system collapsing, by the way, means 97% of every penny in existence will disappear. Do you think we can let those not be bailed out? We have to bail them out because they are creating our money. So therefore, because the government will never allow the banking system to go bankrupt, the only thing is the second outcome, which means the government need to take on all that debt, bail them out, and eventually they take on the debt. Why? Because money is debt. It's got to come from someone's debt. So there's no coincidence that the government, their debt has exponentially increased. They think this is an accident because there was a war to spend, there was a pension crisis, there was every crisis, there was a poverty crisis. It's because they need to keep the engine moving. Because there's only two ways of getting that money that they need in order to bail out the banks, because they've outsourced the ability to create money. And the first is they borrow it. If the country can't borrow it anymore, they need to get it from tax. So taxes will just increase and increase and increase and increase until eventually we end up in the scenario where we either have 100% tax and communism, or whatever you want to call it. This is guaranteed into the system. It's guaranteed until we question money. So what happens next? Then the central banks come in and they take on the debt. Now, when they talk about a bailout, it's not a bailout, they're lending money. It's debt. There's ways of creating debt to keep the engine moving. My belief is that if we don't look at the way that money is actually created, then we are guaranteed unsustainability, inequality. When we question money and when we look at money, and we're guaranteed to question it because this system ain't gonna work. We can move to a place of equality, we can move to a place of stability, and we can move to a place of sustainability.